I'm back for round 2 of this, where we're going to be covering episode number 2 on how to create your course content for your online course and actually get it done so that in 2018 will be your year to launch your program. So I'm going to share my screen if I can find out where to do that at. But one of the things that I find happens like more often than not is that when people don't have clarity on exactly what they need to do on that next step in order to move forward with creating their course, they either do one of two things. One is they completely underestimate how much work is involved with actually creating your program and think that they could get something done in maybe like a fourth the amount of the time as it actually takes, and then ends up getting frustrated or overwhelmed or down on themselves because it's taking so long. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's times when people they don't even start because the thought of the project just seems too massive for it to even be manageable. So what I want to do today is give you a step-by-step, like really break down everything that you need to create for your online course as far as your content goes. So it's on such a like minute level that you know exactly what you need to do one step after the other. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Lexi, you're in the movie. You're a movie star. Okay. Sharing screen. Hopefully that works. Oh, good. Someone's sending hearts. Jade, yay. It's like Inception, Facebook Live in front of Facebook Live. Okay, so the title for today is Getting Real About Creating Your Online Course. And like I said, overwhelm sets in when you aren't clear on exactly what those next steps are. So there's really 3 phases of the course creation process. You have your phase number 1, which is your content creation phase. Phase number 2, which is your technology phase, where you're actually building your membership site, setting up your integrations. And then phase number 3, which is your marketing and launch. So we're actually selling your course. But what I want to focus on today is phase number 1, because that is step number 1, and that's a pretty good place to start. I think that's a song from Sound of Music. And the basic course structure models the same format as a book. So I'm at my parents' house right now in Jacksonville, Florida. So I looked for a book, found this one, Whole Brain Thinking. I don't really know what that is. But the purpose of this, all I needed to show you was that most books, as long as it's not like a 20-page book or something, has, hopefully you can see this, sections in the book, and then chapters within each section. So when you're creating your course, it's going to be very similar to this. You have your modules, which are like the sections in the book, and then your lessons within each section, which are like the chapters in a book. So I find that comparison always really helps people out. And when it comes down to it, there's really 2, like past all the glitz and glamour, there's really only like 2 core things that you need to create for each of these video lessons. And that is your video lesson, like the actual video, and then worksheets to go along with those videos. And let me show you a few examples. Hopefully you can still see my screen. I'm going to pull up my website real quick. Should have already had this up. I thought I did. Actually, I can just show you a slide. No, we'll just go here. So on my portfolio, I have a few courses that we've done. And here is one example of the Brief Lab. So if you scroll down a little bit, here is a module page. So we have, this is level 1, module 1. You can come up with different names for it. And then within the module, you have a video lesson and then that worksheet. Another example, very different, will be this one right here. So school sensuality. So very different topic. Like the other one is for corporate leadership and corporate communication. Well, this one's women, sexuality, and empowerment. But the cool thing is, like, or not cool, but it really shows you, like, regardless of what the course is about or what the topic is, it really still follows that same structure. So you can design it very differently, and it can look like the branding and like what I call like the glitz and glamour, but at the core of it, here's a module, amplifying your sensuality is module 1, so that's like the section of the book. And then you have your individual video lessons, or the individual lessons, like the chapters within that section. And so really everything that we're creating here is the videos and then the worksheets or activities to go along with that. So let me pull back up my slides. And so now that we know what it is that we're actually creating, these are the steps that go to actually create that. So what do you actually need to create for each of those two core components? Well, first you need to have your worksheets. Second, you need to create the scripts for your video lessons. Some people think that they can go off the cuff, or really are good at just like off the cuff and just talking. But I think that's great for like kind of what I'm doing right now. It's a Facebook Live, and it's meant to be like more rough around the edges. When it comes to your course, especially if it's a premium price product, I find it so much easier to really script out your lessons almost verbatim. If not verbatim, a really strong, solid outline that you can then follow. And it's not that you have to sound like you have to read it verbatim, even though you write it. It's just you know the content so well and you know the structure of it so well because you've written it out, you know exactly the points you want to hit, that you're able to really stay on track and not like kind of go off on little tangents or forget to say things that are pretty important for that process. And that's really important when it comes to course creation, because like you want your learner to stay focused too. And if you're kind of going all over in a million directions, then the user, your customer, is going to feel like kind of all over the place too. And it's not the best type of learning environment. Sorry, my dog is trying to claw her way outside of the door. Lexi, let me go. Out or in? Okay, yes. She wants to stay in. Okay, so what does that mean? We have to create this stuff. Well, if you have 6 modules within your course, and each module has 4 lessons within it, that means you have 24 lessons. So it's going to break down like this. Here you have, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yes. So you have module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, module 6, and then lesson 1, lesson 1.2, lesson 1.3, lesson 1.4. Now, here is the steps that I recommend you follow for creating your content. Step number 1 is creating the worksheet, and I'll explain why I follow this format in a minute. Step number 2 is scripting the video lesson. Step number 3 is creating your slides for your video lesson. Step number 4 is recording your video lesson, and step number 5 is editing. Now, the reason why I recommend starting with your worksheet is because I think it's really important that when you create your course, that you are really focused on not just giving information, but you're giving a systematic process or a systematic or a step-by-step formula for someone to follow. And the goal of a course is to get your customers to take action and implement what it is that they learn in order to reach that desired result that they want. That's why people are willing to pay premium prices for courses, because truth be told, pretty much everything is available for free online. But with that comes a level, like that's actually one of the reasons why people are willing to pay those premium prices, is because we're just completely overwhelmed with information. There's so much out there. People just want the fastest means to the end because time is money. So with all that said, when you're creating your course, it really should be focused on, or these modules should be focused on, what actions do my customers need to take in order to get them that one step further to that goal. And if you start with creating your worksheets, and your worksheets are your resources for helping people actually take action and implement what you taught within that video lesson, then it keeps you grounded in the most important thing, which is the action steps they need to take. Lexi, you are being obnoxious. Go outside or come in. Go outside or come in. She's just in a funny mood right now. Okay, so now that we have created the worksheets, then step number 2, I already explained scripting the video. Step number 3 is you usually always need slides for your video. There's 2 ways of doing your video lessons, and that can either be screen share, where you're showing slides like this, or it could be face to camera where it's just you talking. And actually there's 3 ways, because it can kind of be a blend like this, where it shows some of you and then some of the slides as well. So even if you are doing face to camera, I do still recommend interjecting some slides within the video lesson, just because it helps kind of break up the monotony of just having your face on camera, and helps to keep people's attention, because you know attention spans aren't always the longest right now. So having those visual aids really, one, again, helps keep that attention, but it also helps demonstrate or helps your user visualize what it is that you're talking about, especially if you're trying to explain a concept that's kind of complex. So even if you do plan on like talking face to camera for your video lessons, you most likely will still want to create slides for them as well. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is recording your video lesson, and then step number 5 is going to be editing your video. So let's take a look at how we're going to go actually about doing this. So again, this is how we're right here. We have your course outline, and then here we have it kind of I broke it up into, okay, so lesson number 1 means in actuality we have to do the worksheet, the script, the slides, and then the video, which includes recording and editing it. And then you're going to need to do that for each of those lessons within your module. So if we took a really aggressive timeline, and you're like, I just want to get this done, I want to get this out there, but I still want it to be high quality, here is what I would say be the fastest, like feasible calendar for you. And this is how I would recommend doing it. So on Monday, you would start with module 1, lesson 1. And then Tuesday, you would do lesson 2. And I like doing it this way because I think it lets you get in the zone and really focus on that one module that you're creating. So you first create that worksheet, then you're going to script the video lesson, and then you're going to create the slides to go along with the video lesson. That's Monday. Tuesday, you do the same thing for lesson 2. Wednesday, lesson 3. Thursday, lesson 4. And then Friday, you're going to film and record all of your videos. So the reason why I recommend recording all in one day is kind of that same reason that I said I recommend creating all the content for that one lesson in one day. It allows you to get in the zone and in the flow, because you'll find, at least for most people, when you're filming videos, it kind of takes a little bit to get in your groove. In the beginning, you'll probably feel like you're saying and or like or pausing too much. So dumb again. I'm jinxing myself. But after doing it a few times or say 30 minutes of filming, you kind of feel more like yourself and you're comfortable being on camera and you're in that flow. If you only are filming one video a day, it's restarting that process all over again. So you're starting off kind of rocky, you finally got in the flow at the end, and then you're done. And then you do that all over again the next day. And then Saturday is the day for editing. And you can edit all the videos that you filmed on Friday. Sunday is your other day to relax or play catch up. And so, like I said, this is a very aggressive timeline. I would say, I think the worksheets and the slides can be done fairly, I don't want to say quickly, but that's probably the least time consuming. Scripting, at least for me, has always been the most time consuming part, because I really want to be very diligent about the content and the way that I'm formulating the lessons, because I want it to make sure I'm being clear and concise, but also giving a lot of examples and being able to really give everyone everything I need to within that lesson. So I've spent a lot of time on the scripts. Now the alternative schedule for this, because I wanted to give you guys too, not everyone likes to work the same way, is instead of doing each module or each lesson on each day, you would do each core component. So Monday, if you can see, you create the worksheets for all of your lessons for that module. Tuesday, I have scripting your lesson 1, your lesson 2, and Wednesday, scripting lesson 3 and lesson 4. Now, if you guys are speed demons with writing and you think you can get all your scripts in one day, more power to you. Again, like I said, that's the hardest part for me. So I would definitely need to have that split up in 2 days. And then Thursday, creating all your slides, and still Friday and Saturday, filming and editing. Moving on. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, if I know how to do that, but I really don't. Stop share, there we go. Okay, so like I said, this is a really aggressive timeline. And my recommendation for you would be to start working on the content creation and working how my business coach, Todd Herman, has taught us and really ingrained like this methodology into working is working in these 2-week sprints. So plan out the next 2 weeks or whenever you plan on starting your course creation process and map out what you're going to do every single day. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, this is super important, you have to follow back up, close that feedback loop, and be honest with yourself on what it is that you were able to finish and create. And then the reasons why you weren't able to finish everything that you were, or maybe you were able to do a lot more than you thought that you were. A lot of times we'll be like, oh, we'll rationalize why we weren't able to get something done because something came up. More often than not, there will always be something that comes up in one week or another. So after those first 2 weeks, you should really have a much better, like, thorough understanding of what it is that you can realistically create within that week. And so if you had a 6-module course with 4 lessons in each, I would say the fastest and the soonest you'd be able to get it done is 6 weeks, which is awesome. I think a more realistic time frame is probably doubling that. And so about 3-month time span. And again, it all depends on how quickly you can work and then how much time you really have to invest in the course creation process and the content creation process. So if you're working a full-time job, most likely you wouldn't be able to stick to a schedule like this. Or if you're serving clients, that was always like that balance is really difficult. I know that firsthand. Client work and deliverables and selling and all the things that go along with running a business and managing a business. And then it's almost like a second job and a second business on the side, like your side hustle, on actually creating this course. But with all that said, 3 months to create a business asset, like a long-term business asset that's going to allow you to stop completely relying upon trading time for money, I'll take that any day. And to be honest, like Online Courses Academy, my flagship course for the DIY version, for people that couldn't necessarily afford to hire my agency to design and develop the course for them, I wanted to create a program for them to be able to do it themselves. So that takes you all the way from how to validate your idea, which is module 1, to launching your course in module 6, and everything in between, building the technical implementation. I would say it almost took me a year. And it's kind of like, I don't even want to admit that out loud, but I was running a full-time agency. I had full-time developers. I sold 2 full-time developers and designers and project managers and assistants to manage. So again, it was a commitment, that's for sure. I wish it had taken less time, but it was totally worth it, because now I have this business asset that brings in revenue literally every single day and allows me to reach so many more people. So even if it's going to take you 6 months or a year, don't let that hold you up. The most important thing is really getting this plan in place and then taking action on it. So if you want these slides that go along with this, go ahead and type in calendar into wherever you're watching this, in the Facebook comments, and then I'll send you these slides and a worksheet to go along with it to really plan out and map out your calendar for 2018 so that you can get your course done. Next week for episode number 3, we'll be covering how to create your style guide for your course. So to me, branding and design, I think, is a really important part of the course creation process, especially with how much competition is out there. It really, like, having that consistent look and feel for your course, I think it drastically increases the perceived value. So I'm going to be going over how to create a style guide on one of my favorite tools and the components that go into a style guide so that you can have a really professional, consistent brand guide, style guide, whatever you want to call it, for your course. So that one is going to be one of my favorites. I love design, and I will be back, actually, it will be Wednesday at 5 p.m. next week. And if you want to get notifications for this, again, just post that in the comments and I'll send you notification anytime I'm about to go live. Thanks, guys.